Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the best Forex session in the world over here. The New York sessions here. We had a pretty good move here above 136 300, and there was no turning back for GJ. It just continued on towards 137 based on analysis we sent yesterday. And I think now all we got to do is wait for price to create a support on like a minor time frame and then continue moving up to retest the highs it just created. I mean, that's something I'm going to be looking out for here today. So let's take a look at a bunch of other things over here. Gonna make sure my systems are up and running. Okay, they're all up and running. They're all pretty good. Just gotta make this a little better. Nice. All right, let's take a look at this here. Let's take a look at gold. Gold is eventually continuing up as well. It's coming into the territory from where it has basically clean traffic here to continue on to 1920. Looking at on a 1 hour time frame here as well, we're breaking above this area. Going back to GPJPY, let's take a look on the 1 hour time frame here. So you can see on the 1 hour how in the Asian session we broke above 136 300, continued down, and then it was just a matter of time in the before I think in pre-London where we started to make that move to continue up higher, and then just straight went up, made a high at 137 100, and now it's supposed to come down, create some sort of a support, probably somewhere in this area here. This is where I would want GPJPY to create a support, and then we can continue back up, to retest that range. And now it's going to be a pretty big range. It's going to be like a 40 pip range, 42 pip range. So that's an idea we could look into here. You woke up really early today? Yeah. I actually woke up at the same time here today as every day, like 6. Let's take a look here. Let's take a look at Forex Factory here. Kind of want to see if there was any news overnight that really pumped it up. PM Japan opposes steps to heighten tension in Southeast. Okay, maybe the weakness in yen caused it moved up. Then we had some Brexit news. Okay. Weakness in yen. What made you confident enough to place 10 lots for a night trade? Thanks for sharing. Took the trade on London and continent mid. Yeah. So basically the idea was that on the 4 hour, there was a big range, right? So at the end of the day, it comes into risk reward. Like what's your risk reward? What are you trying to risk? So looking at it from a monthly perspective, from a month gain perspective, I was up for the month in a way that I could afford to risk maybe $1,000, $1,200 on a trade in an attempt to grab this whole move up to make much more. So that's all what it took. When my entry got activated at around 136. 136 380 390, and once it moves up towards 136 450, stops went to break even. And when stops went to break even, I accepted the fact that, okay, you know what? This can continue moving overnight while I sleep, or it can come down and stop me out. I mean, when you have stops at break even, that's the whole reason why you're having them at break even, because the worst comes to worst, what's going to happen is you're going to get out at break even. So these trades not work out all the time. If I take, let's say, 10 trades for swing trades, I think only 2 will play out. 2 or 3 will play out. And those 2 or 3 that do play out, they overshine all the losing trades that don't play out. So now we're just kind of waiting over here for price to create a support around 136 650, 136 700, so we can continue on. So we'll see how that goes. Was your entry a buy stop? No, my entry was a market execution. I entered once this candle was closing before pre-London. Before pre-London, I entered the trade. My stop was below the 1 hour candle, right down over here. So it was like 10, 11 pips. You know, I was risking like $1,000, $1,200 in an attempt for London session to continue price up towards 137. So, you know, once it went into profits, once it crossed 136, 450, put stops to break even, and went straight to bed. It was the same analysis as guys were looking at in the London session channel too. Like a lot of people had the same entries, like in pre-London. Wow, weekly just continued moving up. So we're coming down towards 136, 700. This was an area where price created like a support after London opened and then continued moving up. So yeah, it should come down here. Okay, we have some people who are unmuted. Let's mute everybody. So when you move stops to break even, did you secure profits? No, I moved my stops to break even and then I let the rest run. Yeah, I played out really nice. But it took time, you know, like having the confidence to letting the entire positions run, it it takes time. I mean, because at the end of the day, when you're letting the whole position run, let's say even like it's a 10 lot, it requires a lot of experience in a way to having to see the things happen over and over again, you know, and then getting that confidence to actually let it run. Like mostly before, what I would do is I would just like, you know, take profits and then I'd let the rest run. But now slowly I'm moving into I'm moving into a mental state where I'm getting more comfortable in letting them run. Basically, what it also means is like I'm what's the thing? What's the word? I'm getting comfortable in risking some part of my profits, basically. So all that was here. I can go to bed at 2 a.m., wake up at 6. Need to, yeah. Yeah, you know what you need to do, Sacha? You need to have some midday naps. Yeah, I sleep in the daytime. I sleep about maybe like half an hour in the daytime, so yeah, it helps. Ooh, this is a 15 pip move here as it broke the low of the 30 minute. Okay, let's take a look at Euro JPY. Let's bring it down here. Euro JPY. Ooh, Euro JPY is moving bullish over here. Really, really, really bullish. It's breaking above this area over here too, like this resistance area we had. All this mess, it's breaking above over here. So if it continues breaking above 123,800, it's a very high probability we can continue up towards, you know, 124,300, because we got all this clean range here to the left hand side. So looking at it on the 1 hour time frame, what we got is 1 hour candles are straight bullish, like no retracement, coming straight up. Now the thing about where the 1 hour candles are right now in Euro JPY, it's that it's coming into the strong resistance area, right? 123,900. This area was rejected back on the 13th October, then again on the 14th October at London session. So it becomes a very important area right over here. So I think at Euro JPY, we'll have to wait for the same situation here for price to come down, create like a minor support, and then continue moving up. If it's really, really gonna go like continue going bullish, you know. So same idea happening here in GPJPY. Now, the good thing about GPJPY here is that if it comes down and if it shows some sort of a rejection at 136,680, I think then what's going to happen is, so once it shows some sort of a rejection, it's going to get really easy, because if it forms a support, we can take a buy for price to continue moving up. But if it forms a support and the next candle starts breaking support, then we know it's not going to go up and it's going to continue moving down. And then we can start to look at some sells back to, 136, 300. All right, let's take a look at this chart over here. This is GJ 1 hour impulse sell when the low is breaking. Oh, nice, very nice, Leroy. See, if this is the trade someone took, if they just joined market fluidity, or if they just started to learn this idea of impulse entries, I would say that, hey, that's a risky trade. But I know Leroy has been looking at these things for a long time now. He's been with us for a long time, so I think now there's some sort of an experience there, so he could mainly execute on those ideas. So that's pretty good. Let's check out the gulag here. I think that's why most people fail. People expect to get a swing from the beginning. Yes, most men, listen, I would say 80% of my potential swing trades, they always hit stop loss. They stop loss, or I end up closing them early, or or they end up hitting my stops at break even. Most of my swing trades, but very less of them continue running. What was your initial capital you deposited in Forex? How many times have you browned your account? How many times have I browned my account? Probably 3 times, maybe 2, 3 times, but it doesn't necessarily mean that that's the ideal number. You're browning your account, I mean, browning your account is not a good idea anyway to begin with. All right, let's put some text over here. Okay, we got a strong resistance. We'll have to wait. Cannot take a buy. Okay, whenever you look at a chart, always look at a chart in a way, can you take a buy or can you take a sell, right? So if you look at your JPY here, can we take a buy? And the answer is no, because we got a strong resistance here, right? Can we take a sell? The answer is still no, because candles are bullish at this time. So we can't really do any trades over here. So now we just gotta wait, right? We gotta wait over here. So if we look at the JPY here, can we take a sell? The answer is no, because we're approaching a support. Can we take a buy? No, because candles are all bearish at this point. So for buys, I think it's going to be a good idea to wait to see how price. Well, for starters, it's going to be a good idea to just wait essentially to see how price reacts to this level here. So as it's coming down, we're just gonna see how it closes and how that's 136, 720 seems to be strong. 720, yeah, this is the same area here. If we even extend it to the left hand side, it's the same area where price rejected here on the 8th October, again right over here, again right over here. So we're coming up to the same area in this session, so we'll have to see how price acts. Hey, I mailed market fluidity about 4 or 5 days ago. Still haven't received a response. Topic was reserve. Should I expect one? No. I mean, you sent an email and that's about it. So we received it. really happy from this day here today. Took a trade, won a trade. Like some people took sells here in GJ, they won the sells. The only thing you should not do right now is overtrade. Just don't overtrade. Overtrading, no. Especially on a Monday, it's the first day of the week. First trading day of the week. On November 8th intake, are you thinking to expand the existing curriculum with additional topics? Well, basically what's happening is when it comes towards learning Forex, right? I think everything that we have now is the only thing to learn based off of technicals, right? But as we move along, as we look into more things, it's just basically going deeper into the things we already know. Like, let's say, for example, if we're looking at counter trend moves, right? How do you catch counter trend moves? Counter trend moves are caught when price breaks somewhat of a major support. Let's say if the trend is bullish, and then if price continues moving, then you look into topics as impulse entries. How do you catch impulse entries? When are impulse entries valid? Are impulse entries more valid in trending markets or in counter trending markets? Right, that's very important. Are impulse entries much valid on small time frames or high time frames? So those ideas. So I think based on technicals, we're just slowly getting diving deep down into the specific of different things like with risk management. Risk management also a very, very broad topic. Like risk management, in market fluidity, we have divided risk management into three parts: 1.0, 2.0, 3.0. Like how to secure risk, how to let positions run, how to take risk off. So those are things that we're constantly repeating, because I think repetition is the only thing that works. I mean, if you have one thing that is profitable, all you got to do is just repeat that. You have to wait for those same situations to happen over and over again. Like, let's say price is coming down to a support, and if I see a 30-minute candle closing bullish over here, I'm going to tell myself, hey, Raja Banks, this is a trade that you will trade every day. So if I have a candle closing bullish at this point, then I'll be more willing to take a buy, because I've seen that happen a lot of times before. Sometimes when people take impulse entries and they succeed at those impulse entries, it's because they have seen them happen over and over again. They've missed trades, and now they've come to a point that, okay, you know what, I've seen this happen, I'm going to take this trade and probably I'm going to win. But if you're someone new, right? If you're someone new and you don't know how to trade based on candle closes, and you're trying to trade on, let's say the impulse entries, they're obviously not going to work, because you don't know the basic dynamics of how price moves when candles close. So there are different levels that you learn, right? First you learn about, okay, how to wait for candles to close and then execute, and then slowly you move on towards let's say, okay, impulse entries. Now I know a lot of people, they're trying to do impulse entries when they're not good at candles closing. So it takes time. And the only thing you have on your side is time, man. You just got to give things time. All right, let's take a look at this trade here. Can you take a look at these buys I took during the London session? Price broke through, closed bullish above resistance. Candle closed weak bearish right over here. Strong bullish candle, confirmation for buys. Took only 10 pips, but still it's good. See, now this would have been a really good impulse entry right over here. I know some people took this in the Zoom chat there, but break above over here. This is the perfect idea about an impulse entry. That the trend is bullish, price broke the high, entry over here, stop down over here, and I mean, if you want to take 10 pips, take 10 pips. You want to put stops at break even. So this was your chance where price just ran up without even retracing to stop you out at break even. So, situations like these happen maybe, I'd say, once a month. Maybe once a month, once in a month and a half, something. Do I use a demo account? Should I open a small live account? I live in the US and would love to get recommended for a regulated broker. I think regulated brokers in the US, there's Owanda. You can go with Owanda. But if you want to go with unregulated brokers, there is Traders Domain. There are a lot of other unregulated brokers you can go with. But regulated, I think Owanda is going to be the one you're looking for. All right, look at that rejection. See now, once this 15-minute candle closes bullish, I don't want to take a buy, because there's this area of there's a little bit of a problem here, so gotta wait for a 30-minute candle to close bullish really. You missed the setup you usually trade when 30-minute broke the low. Yes, exactly, because I just closed a 60 pip trade up over here. So it's okay if I missed it. So we can see the 30-minute candle is coming up over here, but we gotta wait for it to close. Still got 5 minutes. Hey, are there any free Forex simulators out there? Well, first thing, in life, nothing is free. Secondly, if you can find it for free, it's not going to be as good as the one you get if you pay for it. So if you want good things in life, you got to pay for them, right? Free in life, free things are generally not that good. All right. Let's take a look at this chart here. This is GJ. What's this? Entry candles, candle close bearish, still above 1 hour. Oh, nice. Sideways, no trade. 21 pips banked. Beautiful. Man, I like it when people learn. All right. But the streams are free. Yeah, you know, like some free things are good. You know, like when you sign up to certain brokers, they say we'll give you $30 free deposit. See, that's a good thing. They're giving out free money. So, you know, some free things are good. You know, it's like free food samples you get at the supermarket. That's always good, especially if it's chocolate. They give out chocolate samples here in Canada a lot. You should do a stream for people in your country, in your language. I am in my country, English. So we're doing streams in English in my country.
You know what he meant.
Yeah, I know what he meant. All right, this candle is closing like it's about to pull up its pants over here. You can see this wick over here. Huge rejection this wick means. Huge rejection. See, the thing is, now we get a little, now things get a little complicated here, right? Because if this 30-minute candle is closing like this, and the next 30-minute candle starts breaking the high over here, I have to measure how much range this is, right? If we break the high at, like, let's say 136,950, and if we measure the top of this range, this is a 15 pip range. So I don't think this is enough range to take a solid trade. I think there could be an idea, but man, that's because like 137, 100 is a very, very strong resistance, right? Extremely strong, because look at this. It got rejected here on the 14th October after London session, got rejected again on the 14th at the Asian session, and now price is back here again. You know, now price is back here again. So we got to be very careful if you're going to execute over here, because the range is not that big. It's like a 15 pip range. You know, but if you're going to get an entry above the high of this 30-minute candle and put stops at break even, and price does go to 137,100 and it continues moving, man, that's a super trade. You know, that I can then look at GJ and say, oh wow, GJ, you really ran from London and all the way into New York session and continued bullish.
In this situation, you want to lower your risk, like Roger was saying, because that range is so tight. So plus you're going to have a wider stop also.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty tricky. Your JPY is also moving up here. I made 13% on one trade. Should I continue? What do you think, Kevon? Probably not. Probably.
Hey, man, 13%. You should be done.
Should be done for the week.
Yeah, it should be done. It should be done now.
I would love this candle right here to close a little bit above 136,920. Because
136,
now,
920.
because if you see we're closing back below that resistance on the 30 minutes would have formed right here. Yeah. So technically we could continue to go down the retest and then bullish going back up.
Yeah, makes sense. Just gotta wait to see how it closes. See the way it's closing, it's just so nasty.
Yeah, man.
Look at the way it's closed. I mean, at least close with a bigger body, you know, in one way, and not close like this. I mean, if we close somewhere above this area here.
Yeah, right there.
Yeah. Wow. It's just insane. 15 minutes, 14 seconds. 14 seconds left for it to close.
This could be a liquidity grab, right?
Yeah, but what I'm thinking is that if the next candle breaks the high of this 30-minute candle, even though it has like a smaller body, you know, I think then there's a probability for price to continue moving bullish. But the problem is that if it breaks the high here without coming down first, then it could, you know, break up and then continue down to make a lower wick. So I would appreciate this candle to maybe come down first. Oh, well, there we go. It's just breaking the high over here. Now it gets really difficult. I mean, look at this 1 hour candle. It gets difficult here because it's breaking the high in the first minute. So we don't basically know that if it's breaking the high to continue up and then make a lower wick, or if it's just gonna, you know, if it broke the high to continue moving up. That's something I don't know, you know. So I would have liked this candle to make a lower wick first and then start to move up, because if it started moving down first and then started breaking the high, then you could say, okay, like, you know what, I can take a buy at this point, have a stop down over here at the low, and then we could have a good day moving up. But if it's breaking the high first, then I'm just kind of like, yeah, I don't know, on the sidelines, basically. I've learned my lesson, you know. I've been practice impulse entries a lot, and I used to do this a lot. Like, whenever price would break the high, there's a 50-50 chance it's going to continue moving without making a lower wick. And if it's and that 50-50 chance is not in my favor to having a profitable chance, you know. So just basically wait. Gold also broke up here. Coming into this possible rejection area at 1913. All right, let's take a look at this chart over here. This is what could I have done differently. Let's take a look here. Resistance formed, candle close above resistance, candle close bullish, took a buy over here, price retraced, down over here. Okay, perfect. So basically you took a loss. I think instead of looking to see what could you have done differently, look at this chart and map out how could you have given your trade a second chance, right? Because eventually price moved up. Because if you look right over here, eventually price started moving up. So look into ideas that how could you have given your trade a second chance, and that's where your learning begins. You know, it's not like, hey, I took a loss, what happened? That's all good, you know, but real learning is for you to take a look at your losing trade and then seeing that price did eventually go up, look to see how could you have given your trade a second chance, because this is going to happen over and over again, right? Price is going to do these things over and over and over again, but as long as you don't learn to see how you could have given your trade a second chance, it will get extremely difficult. Because, man, like taking a loss and then seeing like, oh man, took a loss, whatever, and being sad about it, it doesn't help you. But looking at it to see that, okay, how you could have given a trade a second chance, it does help you. So mark up the chart, send it to me in Slack, and like, you know, after the live stream, I'm going to look at it. So you can see here, we want a candle to close in a way that gives us some more information where it's going to head out. Because if you look on the 15-minute time frame, 15-minute is in this consolidation area. Looking at the 30-minute, 30-minute looks cleaner. So realistically, I would want a 30-minute candle to probably close somewhat like this. If I get 30-minute candle closing like this, man, next one is just going to continue moving bullish. So it's very important for me to wait at this point. And while I'm waiting, there's a very high probability, well, I wouldn't say very high, but there is a probability that this current candle can continue moving up. And if it continues moving up, then that's totally fine, you know, because it didn't print the way I wanted to print for me to take a trade. So you have to be very, very picky about how candles close and then executing on them. Extremely picky. Is that an evening star pattern on the 15-minute time frame? I think that's the evening bonfire pattern on 15-minute time frame. Let's take a look here. Where's that evening star on 15-minute? This is the bonfire over here. See, these are the little woods in consolidation. This is the fire going bullish. And then I guess this is the fire going underground over here. So this is the evening morning.
Looks like it's forming a shooting star.
Shooting star.
Or maybe a black hole.
Yeah. Yeah, see this candle? This candle dipped into the black hole. Now it's coming back up. Oh, man. Yeah, I don't know. I don't look at evening stars or morning stars. You just gotta wait. You just gotta wait for candles to print something you recognize. You know. It's like when you go play laser tag, you know, laser tag or some other stuff, and then you have teammates and you wait for your teammates to give you a signal. If it's not the correct signal, like you don't jump out of your hover and start shooting, right? You wait for the correct signal. So that's what I'm waiting for over here. I'm looking to see if I can compound my win into more wins once this candle closes bullish. Can scalp trading allow you to risk more lot sizes slightly? What's your opinion? Yes. I think all kind of trading can allow you to risk more lot size. I think when you're scalping, people have this bad idea, this idea that scalping is done, you know, throughout the day. I was talking to somebody on Saturday. It was a relative, and we were talking about trading and day trading. And now he was saying that he started stock trading, and he's focused on 10 to 12 trades a day. And I'm like, okay, interesting. Why is that? He's like, well, because, you know, if I can take 10, 12 trades a day, then I could eventually start making more money, you know, as I get better. And then I started talking about, no, like, you know, how that's a bad idea. Because the whole idea about day trading people get in the start is you got to be on the charts all the time. You got to keep taking trades, start looking for opportunities and trades and stuff like that. But man, in reality, day trading is just about just taking 1 to 2 trades a day. That's it. Just 1 to 2 trades. You focus on 1 to 2 trades. If you win a trade, you start to see, okay, how can I capitalize on this same trade the next day? You know, so if you look on GPGPY over here, the 15-minute candle is about to close in 7 minutes. And it's short of closing bullish over here, but I'd want to see a 30-minute close bullish to take a buy. Japanese pattern have been working for hundreds of years. Their human emotions depicted on graph depiction. Yes, that is absolutely true. That is absolutely true. Oh, what's this? I joined the stock trading group, Facebook group. Quite a few of them are trading off the 1 minute. Oh, using EMAs. Oh, damn. Seems way too silly coming from Forex and not going below 15. Yeah. All right, we got some Republicans over here in the Gulag chat and some liberals here in the Gulag chat. Some are saying Biden is a fresh new hope. Some are saying that Trump is the fresh new hope. We shall see what happens. Wouldn't be surprised if they postpone the elections anyway. All right, let's take a look at pre-markets here. Oh, pre-markets are positive. Positive 200 points, positive 130 points, 132 points. This means that US 30 should be moving bullish. So let's take a look here. Ooh, US 30 is not moving bullish. US 30 is one of the most hardest things you can actually trade. Because I've tried backtesting US 30 for about 3 months and it did not make any sense at all. I think for the most part why it didn't make sense to me was because I was mainly trying to trade it in pre-New York, New York Open when it doesn't necessarily move. It really starts moving in like, you know, your NYC Open. So obviously, you know, I can't trade at NYC Open because I'm busy at that time. So it just didn't make sense for me to keep backtesting this. Alright, let's take a look here on the importance of waiting for volume. 3 entries. After first 30-minute candle forms support, stops below 30-minute candle, initially target this Asian low session, didn't really work. After we formed over here, initial target here, pre-London high volume session, yes, this was perfect over here. Mine was somewhere down over here. And then the third one right over here for price to continue moving up. This is excellent, right? So if you gave your trade first chance right over here and then you waited for another volume time and, you know, pre-London, it obviously worked at that time. Because, you know, like Asian, there was no volume and then you have to wait for pre-London and then London Open and so on and so forth. We got 18 minutes left for this 30-minute candle to close. And if it closes bullish, oh man, we're going to continue moving bullish. So the only thing is this is a 15 pip range, so you'll have to be very careful what you're going to try to get because the 30-minute candle has to close in a way that you don't compromise on this range. Could the 15-minute help us with entries here or has it no use? Well, if you look at the 15-minute candle here, this 15-minute candle is about to close in 3 minutes. And the only problem is that there's this minor resistance here. So I'm basically not willing to execute a trade based on a 15-minute time frame when it has a minor resistance here, because what if the next 15 minutes starts rejecting this area, right? So then it's very important for me to wait for the 30-minute to close overall. Because if I can get a 30-minute candle close and I can execute on the 30-minute candle, then it would make much more sense to take that trade. Because that's a higher time frame and high time frame have like, you know, better confirmations. Your JPY is still bullish. There has been zero retracement whatsoever. So we're just kind of waiting on your JPY here as well. I'm from Canada, using CMC markets in MetaTrader 4. My time's like 3 minutes ahead of this live stream. Why is that? Because the live streams, they have a delay. You know, they have like 15-second delay to 30-second delay. Live streams have some delay. Well, that's what you get when something's free, right? Live streams are free, so you get a delay. Hey, good evening. I made a good profit on GJ this afternoon, so I'm not looking for something stupid here. So my paper trade. All right, let's take a look at this. This is your JPY, clean traffic on 30-minute left-hand side. My question is, if the price made a support here, would you consider taking a buy? Yes. Yes. So you'd want price to mainly come down and create a support in this 123,900 area, and then continue moving bullish. So that's something we could basically count on. Someone keeps saying gold is going to fly. Well, gold needs to come down and create some sort of a support here first. And then we could look for gold to keep on flying. right? Because there was support created here in the 30-minute time frame. And if we look to the left-hand side, we have clean traffic going all the way towards 1920. All right, we got a first chart coming in from the Gulag, and this is, oh, G just continuing over here. Wow. Well. 15 minutes about to close in 30 seconds. It is what it is. Let's take a look at this chart here from the Gulag. This is Euro USD. Euro USD looking for sells up over here. Arrow up, arrow down. Beautiful. So it seems like this was drawn from last week. So I think you're going to wait for some sort. I think in this area, I don't think looking, well, sells could be a good idea, but at the same time, I would say wait for price to create like a minor support and then continue up to retest the high, because essentially price just made a high here, you know. So it's better to wait for price to create a support and then continue up. When it comes to risk management, do you just close when the trade goes opposite your way down to 3 or 4 pips? No. When price goes in a drawdown of, like, let's say if it's breaking the lows on the 15-minute or whatever, then I close like a portion of my trade and then I put the rest at, like, you know, and then I let the rest run. You know, if it runs into profits, perfect. If it comes down and hits my stop loss, then that means I managed my risk, right? Let's say if I'm going to open my trade with a $100 risk, and if I can close like a portion in, like, let's say, and like a $30 loss, then essentially I've lowered my risk from $100 to $70. You know, so it's all about lowering your risk. Look at this 15-minute candle. 15-minute candle closed bullish, and it seems like this is going to continue moving up over here. So this is what you get when you wait for your candles to close, right? This is when, you know, if you stick to, like my plan is to wait for the 30-minute candle to close. And if the 30-minute candle closes, you know, with a wick over here, then I'd be more willing to take a buy. And that's the only thing I'm going to look at, right? I've really, like these emotions of let's say like FOMO and all that stuff, like I've really slowly started to let them go, right? Because if I'm waiting for a 30-minute candle, then I know I have to accept that this candle can continue moving up. I have to accept that part. And if that happens, then basically I missed the trade, you know, then there's no trade. But if it does close there, then I can possibly take a trade and continue on price to 137.100. So it's all about what you want to see in the markets and wait for it to happen. Let's take a look at this chart here. All right, so we start from the 5-minute, we go towards the 15-minute, and we go towards the 1 hour here, and this is the 30-minute right over here. Entered as price broke the high it created in the beginning of this candle. Okay. That makes sense. So it's basically entered when the 15-minute broke the high, almost. Hey, do you have any long-term investments? Yes. Real estate. Real estate is the best long-term investment you can ever have. If someone tells you don't, man, run the other way. Trust me, run the other way. I think real estate is the only investment vehicle that can let you have things through passive income. And passive income basically means that you making money while you're doing absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing, but while by making money by not even lifting a finger. That's what passive income is. And I think if people want luxuries in life, they want, like, you know, nice cars or, like, you know, nice watches and stuff like that, aim to get those things through passive income. You know, like the money you make while you're working or trading, like that's good. Use that money towards real estate, and then the real estate vehicle is gonna, like, you know, get you things through passive income. Because you want luxuries from the money you don't work for, basically. right? I mean, if you look at all the super rich, that's what they do. Like, they create avenues of passive income, and then that's how they afford those luxuries. So I think we need to change our mindsets here.
Like he's literally just gonna.
Oh, okay. So if the candle pulls back and closes with a nice wick, it gives us a better chance to entry, right? Yes, that's basically what I'm looking at. But if a candle closes right over here, then there's no trade because, the stop is going to be 10 pips and the range is going to be 10 pips, then it makes no sense to take the trade. The only price I want to enter for a trade is going to be somewhere at 136.950. So then I can have a 6-7 pip stop and eventually like a 14-15 pip range over here. But if the range is only like 10 pips, it makes no sense to take the trade. By real estate, are you going to buy properties and rent them out? Man, I think you need to really do your own research because I know this question is going to come. So, bro, what do you think is better? Buying and selling or renting them out? So, bro, what should I buy? Should I buy an apartment or a house? So, you need to do your own research and you need to understand what kind of a real estate investor are you going to be. Are you going to be someone who's going to buy pre-construction and flip them? Are you going to be someone who's going to buy cheap homes and renovate them and flip them? Or are you going to be the one who's going to buy like small apartments and rent them out and do that? So there are like different types of real estate investors. So you have to really make up your mind what you want to do. Soon I'm going to have a real estate mentorship here opening soon. So, yeah. Raja Cardone. Can you imagine? Raja Cardone. Raja Capital. Man, trust me, I'm not a professional in real estate. Not a professional at all. Everything I know is I just either Google it or I call my accountant and ask him. So yeah, this candle is about to close in 8 minutes, so got nothing to do for the rest of the 8 minutes here. The current 4-hour earlier retested 137.100, yes, during the London session. So can this 4-hour again try to do a retest? Yes. Oh yes, if you think that this 4-hour is going to do, this 4-hour actually did a retest over here. So yeah, I don't know. So if you get a 30-minute candle closing bullish here, I think there's a probability for price to continue moving up. And then we could say that, okay, the 1-hour candles can slowly start moving up. But the only problem is now, this is a support being created at 136.900, right? And if price, oh man, this is amazing. BPK, if you're listening, this is crazy because look at this, right? This is a support formed, right? If this 30-minute candle closes, we have a support formed at this point. If the next candle starts breaking the low over here, we are going all the way down. But if its support is respected, then we're moving up. So that's why it's really important to wait for this candle to close. Oh wow, look at that. Look at that puppy reverse. Yeah, so this is our support right over here. Look at this 15-minute candle coming down. Once it breaks the low on the 15-minute here, man, this is going to continue dropping. What if it breaks the low even while it's open? Would sells be valid? I don't know. I'm going to wait for this candle to close. So if you want to take the trade when this open, this is totally up to you, but I'm waiting for it to close and see how it closes. Like when the candle is open, it's I forgot what I was going to say.
It's dangerous, man.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like you just gotta
Let's
wait.
say it that way. And Rakeel, I wanted to add stock dividends also is another way of earning passive income.
Oh, I have no idea about that. But I've heard about it though.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Okay. I know. Because my accountant was telling me that I can use market fluidity to pay me in dividends instead of pulling out a
Yeah.
salary.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
I think you would pay less taxes, but
Yeah.
the accountant knows more.
Yeah, it's basically less. It's basically less tax if I'm getting dividends from
Yeah.
my company. Look at this, man. It's about to close in 5 minutes. Beautiful. Can you get both as a worker and shareholder? I don't know that yet. Yeah, I don't know that yet. Because I'm still learning a lot of things when it comes towards money and managing it, right? The first step is to actually making it. Second step is to actually keeping it. The way that works in the UK is you pay yourself minimum pay and take dividends that already have been taxed, business tax. The problem in Canada is like even if you pay yourself less, right? Like I made a mistake last year. Last year I showed my personal income to be 30,000, and the rest was all in the company. So the problem is if your company is not 2 years old, you can't get any good credit. Because all the credit you get is based on your personal finances. So on paper, my personal income was 30,000. So they look at me and they're like, yeah, I don't know, man. You made 30,000 last year. I don't think we can give you a mortgage, So then you got to wait for the company to be 2 years old so that you can pull things out against the company. So that's one mistake I made. So, we learn with every bad mistake, so it's pretty good.
Yeah, that's the best way to learn, man.
Raja, hit a bong live. I can't magically bring up a bong over here and take a toke. Come on. Can you do a magic trick? I don't have bongs, sorry. Alright, this candle is about to close in 3 minutes. Do you guys trade on the stream? You're about to find out. My friend, you are about to find out over here. Once this 30-minute candle closes, I'm going to be entering a smaller lot size in this because I already had a winning trade. Stop is going to be 7-8 pips, and TP is going to be... See, here's the problem here. If price starts moving up, this rejection here that kind of like says, yeah, I don't know, like price may come up, see this rejection, be like, okay, well, let's start arranging over here and whatever. But really counting on this pre-New York volume to push price up, essentially also we're coming into your New York Open here. Do you think a 15-year-old is capable of learning to trade like this? Yes. The 15-year-old just needs to be very disciplined. Whoever drew this gray box, thank you. You're welcome. Oh, yeah.
The man.
This rejection is the only thing that scares me a little bit. Right here. Gets difficult. Do you close 50% at 10 pips if your stop is like 14 to 18 pips? Yes. Yes, because that means you're securing profits. All right, got 2 minutes. See, if I'm planning a buy, so this is me thinking out loud, right? If I enter it right over here, and if I measure my range is like 13, 14, 15 pips. And as you move up over here, there's a rejection at around 8 pips. If this rejection was around like 15, 16 pips, I'd be more willing to take this buy. But since this rejection is right over here, I don't think this could be a very risky endeavor over here. Because if we look at the 15-minute, we're just rejecting this minor resistance here at the same time. So I'm having a hard time believing it could fly.
Yeah, the issue that you're running into is your daily time frames have hit a major zone as well. So that's the reason why. So you're stuck between a rock and a hard place. And what I mean by that is, if we do break through the daily zone, you're 100% correct. We're going up to like 137, 300, whatever it's going to be, right? But if it ranges now because we've hit into that zone, so you can see we're at a real big conflict, because initially looking right here as an example, like our immediate left, we have this zone. So you can say, okay, we just tapped into it, but we should continue because we have volume coming in from New York. But then when you start creeping around, you see that there's another zone that we're in as well. So we have a lot of conflict with this area. So it's just a matter of, if we get the volume that we need, the buy will play out. But you're right, I'm erring on the side of it could possibly range. But if we do push, it'll be a great push because you're in a daily zone. And if it rips through the daily zone, then you know you're going all the way up to like 137, 800.
Let's check this out over here. 30-minute candle.
Yeah, I like the idea, but it's just those wicks are in the way.
Yeah, like with a smaller risk would make sense.
Yes, 100%. Because you're leveraging the higher time frame, and you have a bullish move on the higher time frame. So technically, it should continue on its way.
You're going to make me start trading GJ. Oh, start trading GU. Oh. I think there have been a lot of people who have, because of these streams, they've gravitated more towards GJ since we look at this the most. Yeah, I think it should continue moving up here. Got a 6 pip stop loss for price to continue up towards 137, 100.
Yes, and that will bring you to the to the USA Open.
I'm up about like 6, 7 pips over here. We're clearing these wicks over here too, which is pretty good. Went pretty quick. EJ is also breaking up. We're trying to reject this area here. Okay. Still open, still got a lot of time left for this candle to close. Now, if I had an entry right over here, and if price comes back down to my entry point, that's where basically you should be closing out some portion of the trade here. Because you went in profits, and the last thing you want price to do is to go back and draw down, right? So whenever you go in drawdown, after going up 6, 7 pip profits, always take some portions off. I take some portions off and then I let the rest run. If the rest, hit stop loss, then you're losing less than you anticipated. And overall, you're really managing risk at that point. Why don't you use pivot points? I made 40 pip just buying off M2. I don't know what that is, but I basically had a 60 pip trade overnight, so that's pretty good. See, now, when we're looking at this price moving up, we're not discounting the fact that, okay, how could it also move down? Because whenever you're in a trade, you're looking at both scenarios. Obviously, taking buys here made much better sense because, candle closed bullish and now it can continue up. But at the same time, there's a slight chance that price can continue moving down. So when you're looking at ideas about price breaking supports, I think a better idea would be like once it closes below 136,900, then we could continue down to fill this wick. And at that point, you can say, oh yeah, you know what? There's momentum, there's volume in the market, there's a wick, and wick can get filled. But so far, we're moving up at this point here. Do you believe in order blocks? I tried learning them for about a month and then they were too complicated, so I let them go. Oof, Euro JPY continued moving here. Euro JPY basically broke above the high and it continued moving.
Yeah, the euro is gaining some real strength lately. Seems like it's going to fly.
Man, it's gaining super strength.
Yeah. Even Euro USD has taken off a bit as well.
GJ is also about to fly towards 137, 100.
I think so.
This would be the easiest trade of this morning if it comes up here.
Yeah, I think if you're on the trigger finger, all you got to do is just make sure you watch this particular rejection there. Like it might just bounce up and then bounce back down. So people are watching that. Like I think if it's people's first trade and they took one from here and they're going up to here, this is your trade. And you can decide either A, close at this point, or B, like put your stop maybe over here or whatever, and then let it continue to run if you're taking that trade.
Did you take this? Yes. My entry was 136.968. Somewhere here, 968. This was my entry. My stop is below the 30-minute candle, aiming for price to come up towards 137, 100. And if price comes back to my entry point, I'm basically closing 50% and I'm letting the rest run and then managing risk at that point. So looking on the 15-minute, I want this 15-minute to close bullish. And if the next one starts breaking the low here, then basically I'm managing my risk and starting to see how I could close that trade with a lower risk. I'm the same. Order blocks seem to work well, but they can be very complicated. Yes. I don't know. I never understood order blocks. It was just ages. I mean, it was just too much complicated language there. I couldn't process. Ooh, nice. Took impulse when we broke the high over here for price to move up. Secured 75% at 10 pips. Beautiful. Yes, absolutely beautiful. And it looks like we're coming up over here on GPJPY. Gonna obviously secure profits at around 10 pips and then I'm gonna let the rest run with stops at break even. Why don't you trade for a prop trading company? Like use $100,000 account. I already have a $100,000 account.
He has more than that, man. Come on.
I think you forgot to add a couple of zeros after that.
Yeah, man. Like, I got 200. Why should I trade with 100, man?
Yeah, but at the same time, I mean, if I trade for a prop trading firm, that means I'll have to wake up and get ready and drive to the office. And while I'm driving to the office, my friends on the live streams are in their homes winning trades. And I'm like, oh man, shit. Can't wait to get to my office. Oh,
Yeah, you have Kerbin drinking coffee, relaxed.
yeah, just, I don't know. Wow, yours is really flying over here from 991 to, oh wow, almost like 10 of
Yeah,
the
we have
moves.
news. Lagarde is speaking.
Lagarde.
Lagarde.
Powell is
Yeah.
also speaking at 8 a.m.
Yeah.
You know when, like the first time I saw Lagarde when she came on TV, she reminded me of that woman in Snow White and Seven Dwarfs that gives Snow White the apple. You know, she gives her the apple and she takes the apple and then she passes out. That's what she reminded me of. So right at this point, I'm securing some positions here and putting my stops to break even basically. And now I'm letting the rest run.
You've done your week today, man.
Yeah, I mean that was expected basically. You know, like on the if we look on the 4 hour time frame here, like once we broke above, 136 300, this move was basically expected. I didn't expect this to happen throughout London. Maybe I expected this to do halfway and then rest half in New York, but it happened in London session, so it was pretty
As
surprising.
expected, it's because clean space, right?
Yes, clean traffic.
Yeah.
Clean traffic. So whether it was a 1 lot, 10 lot, a 1 cent lot, it was the same move. Yeah, price came up to about like 9 pips, 8-9 pips profit, secured positions and leaving like a tiny portion run at stops at break even to see if we can get towards 137 100. But if we can't, then this is going to become an area of ranging consolidation over here. Why don't you use proprietary trading firm for finance like you can manage 1 million account? No, because I don't want to leave my. It just doesn't make any sense for me to go to an office when I've worked to not going to an office. Wow, that's crazy rejection over there. That 15-minute candle is rejecting this area here as well. It's pretty good. Pretty good if it's rejected. Because if it's rejecting this area, then it makes sense that this whole situation can become a like a rejection area here, like a resistance here. So if we start ranging in this area, then this means that okay, now we have this 20 pip range. Oh, okay, hold on, it's still alive. The Godzilla is alive over here.
That's gonna be the most interesting trade because you're still missing 15 minutes on the hourly candle.
Yes.
So those 15 minutes are gonna make the nice push.
Yeah, right before the NY Open.
Yeah. Oof. And then if you have this hour closing above 137, let's say 137.05, which is around the same price, you may have a small pullback, and the next hour is gonna make the nice push, like Ted says, probably 137.300.
You guys love playing with fire. I love watching.
Oh, we're putting water on the fire, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna.
Yeah. Euro's flying.
Oh yeah, I'm looking at the price over here.
Yeah.
Oh, we're coming up towards the horns here now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're at this level right now, I would suggest protecting your profit because it could reject that at any point at that area. So a good stop would probably be right over here, or take profit right here. Because I mean that was a very good trade. Raja called it from start to finish, and technically for the time that we're in the trade, that's actually very good because this is the point where it'll move like Kerwin said, and as the new 15-minute candle opens, it could push back down before the North American session open. So that's a pretty awesome target. Rakeel called right on the dot.
Yeah.
Do you guys have a basement? Yes. Do you feel like Mondays with good volume like this are signs that the rest of the week will have good volume? Nope. No, sir. Mondays is a Monday and Tuesday is a Tuesday and so on and so forth. Yeah, we came up to this area over here. It gave me like around, 11 pips over there. And I mean, if we do continue moving up over here, I think that's going to be a pretty good move. Still got some time left. 15-minute candle's about to close.
Yeah, what you might find too also, Raj, is this pops up here, breaks up here, creates a new high, and then that's where you get the rejection. This becomes your new zone. So essentially what'll happen is this area here becomes a new zone, but we get the initial pop through, and then we get a tap back down here, and then we get a continuation move up. So that could happen as well.
Yes.
Let's take a look at this chart over here. Euro JPY took buys, closed 10 pips here, added some more positions. Oh, beautiful. Very nice. We have another buy on GJ here, entry over here, secured around 8 pips. It actually went towards, I'd say, like 10 to 12 pip profits if the entries was taken at the 30-minute open. Securing profits in this range, because I mean, realistically, if you measure this range, this is like a 14, if you really push it, like 15 pip range. So from a 15 pip range, if you were able to squeeze out 9, 10 pips out of it, I think that's still pretty good, leaving stops at break even. Hey, can you ask Ted what's the course for financial title, CTF, GT, GFTC? I can't. Oh, I don't know. For financial title, financial literacy, economics, macro and microeconomics. What I do think is gold is going to go back to 2000 and we can go back to like 3000. I mean, those are like long ideas for next year, 2021. Gold to 3000. Imagine gold goes to 3000 next year. I can go back to the stream and say, oh, hey, look, I called it 3000. If you held it, you made money.
Don't say it.
What do you think on this plan to buy gold as we're moving into NY Open? Let's take a look at this trade over here. Let's take a look at this idea on gold. So you're buying above, buy stop above previous daily high. This is the 1 hour chart over here. Stop loss is going to be down here. Yeah, it could make sense because like gold basically made a high at the same high it created back on 16th October at New York session, and we're kind of rejecting that same area here now. So yeah, like you'll need a break above 1914 for price to continue moving bullish. Yeah, break above this area. Could you explain when you enter on opens versus on highs broken? When you are new, I think you should only focus on candles closing and getting confirmations as candles come to a close. Once you get confident in those trades, then you should start to focus on, okay, how can I take impulse entries or how can I take entries when candles break the highs or break the lows? So first thing comes when you wait for candles to close. So this was a very good example right here. When the candle here closed bullish, right? Candle closed bullish. We talked about this, entry was taken here, stop loss down over here, aim for like, the top of this wick fill over here. And then you kind of like got this area down at, like around 12 pips, 10 pips, whatever. Once you start to get good at this, then you start to look into ideas that, okay, how can I get more risky trades when, like candles are still open and they're breaking the lows or breaking the highs with impulse entries. So, I mean, if you're taking an entry as we break the high over here, obviously now you're compromising on the range, right? Then instead of having a 15 pip range, you have a 10 pip range, then there's no need to take the trade. But if you're taking the idea based on when the candle is closing here, having the same buying idea, now not only you have a bigger range to play, but also you have a smaller stop loss. Right over here, man, your stop loss is bigger and your range is way smaller. Like, so I don't think new traders should focus on impulse entries. You should start focusing on waiting for candles to close, because that's where you see most losses, man. Like when new people join, most of your losses are going to come through impulse entries. Most of the losses.
Yeah.
So you got to stop it. Hey, what time frames should I look at when placing trades and analysis as a beginner? I think the 30-minute, 15-minute, 1 hour, 4 hour. Anything below 15-minute, I don't think you should be looking at that. So this is the new 15-minute candle starting. 15-minute candle has created this low right over here, and as long as price respects this low, we should continue up towards 137,100, and that should push the 30-minute back up there as well. Why do you like GJ so much? Because it's a bless. GJ is a bless. It's a blessing in disguise. Most times, sometimes it can be extremely annoying.
Yeah, I was about to say that. And this 15-minute candle is looking good. I really wanted this 15-minute candle to do a deeper retest or 136,900, but it's not doing it, because I wanted to have a small wick to the bottom on the 30-minute candle. But it's not giving me that retest. Come on. So then
gold is also ranging here, and Euro JPY has also moved up here. See, this is when, like let's say if you're the kind of trader who just waits for candles to close, right? And you see a candle closing bearish here, you're like, okay, perfect. Now the next candle is going to make a support, and then we're going to get a bullish candle, we'll take a buy, and then price is going to move up, and we're going to have a good day, right? That's something what happens when you're waiting for candles to close. But sometimes when you're waiting for candles to close, price can just continue moving, just like it did. So then you start to look to see that, okay, how could I have been in this trade? And that's when the impulse trades, they come in, because now you're like, okay, like, even though I missed this trade since I was waiting for a candle to close, but maybe I could have entered once we broke the high, taken a buy for price to continue up. Then you start to look at those things. Then you're like, okay, you know what? This idea makes sense. Let me see if this happens the next day or the day after or the next week or the month after, and so on and so forth. Because before executing on something, you need to see it happen at least 10 to 15 times. Because if you can see it happen and then you can plan on it, you're like, okay, you know what? I've seen this happen a couple times, and maybe I can plan on it in certain ways and execute it. And then next time it happens, you're going to be ready and you're going to execute on it. And if it's a loss, it's a loss because you traded your plan. But if it's a trade, you're just taking the trade to be in a trade, man, that's not a trade. That's just a dumbass trade. So you really, really, really have to be cautious about certain things when you're trading. And especially with over trading, man, you really have to control that. People ask me what's the best way to control over trading. Just have something to do, Just walk away. How do you know which candle is valid to enter? Because sometimes they push up the pullback. They push up the pullback. No idea what that means. They push up the pullback. I think this was a pretty good idea over here, right? Candle closed bullish, price moved up, secured positions here, put stops at break even. And if it continues moving up, that's a bonus trade. But if it comes down, then hey, we secured profits, right? Walking away is the hardest thing to do. Take it this way, right? You fall in love the first time, it's the hardest. It's extremely hard. And then you break up. You break up, you're devastated, you don't know what to do. Now either you start going overthinking of why it happened, how you could have changed things, or you could turn around and say, okay, like, you know what, now I'm going to do better. And you start going to the gym, you start eating healthy, you start working out, you start getting better, because now your mindset is deviated. I'm not sure how this correlates with overtrading, but
Not much, but whatever.
yeah, but whatever.
It is what it is.
Not much, but you get the point.
Well, yeah.
Overtrading self-sabotage, right? So
Yeah.
after you go through an emotional breakup or something, you self-sabotage yourself, right? So you have a chance to either change your ways or not change your ways, right?
Yeah,
I
that's
think
it.
Overtrading is self-sabotage. You're not realistically looking at money correctly, and you're also trying to chase money to validate yourself. Anyone who overtrades, it's because they believe money is going to make themselves inside feel happier. I think Dan Blazarian said it best. You can buy pleasure with money, but you can't buy happiness. So he said this. He said that you can have everything in the world and be enjoy the pleasure of those items, but you'll never be happy with them. So you have to be happy internally first before you're happy externally.
Yeah, that was my English translation of my idea over there.
Yeah, I speak Raja.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you use any indicators? No. No way. When my paper trade became a real trade, this is the result. Oh, let's take a look at this. Oh, beautiful. Secured 80% at 12 pips and run it at break even. I can't thank you so much. Oh man, beautiful. It's absolutely nice. Had clean traffic and price moved up. And why don't you use indicators? Because I don't need them. I don't need indicators. The only indicator you need is EYES. Eyes. Do you scale in heavily on winners or hedge against? No, I don't do hedging. I don't do that stuff. So I had a bad entry and closed the trade quickly. Can I give the trade a second chance somehow? Well, now you have to wait. You can't give the trade a second chance because it already happened now. So gold is ranging at this point. We are tapping into a previous resistance, turned kind of like a minor support here on the 30-minute time frame as well. There you go. We got some sort of a support over here, and need price to break above 1913 to continue moving up. Boom. Boom. Watching an indicator is like watching a shadow of someone try to predict what they're doing. That's absolutely true. The only reason I shied away from indicators was because they were always lagging, right? For a long time, for about, I'd say like 6 months, I was using EMAs, right? 14 EMA, 50 EMA. They worked, but the problem was that the way they worked was, let me bring this up over here. EMAs here. Moving averages, right? Moving averages. 1, 2. 2 moving averages. Go to settings, put this as 14. And this was what? Close. And then the other one, we have the 50 moving average, right? So we got the 14 and 50 moving average. Yeah, I don't know, like I felt like with moving averages, I was always missing bigger moves. So I just don't use them. See now, because then you have more things to think about. You have things to think about what the 50 moving average is doing and the 14 is doing. With this, you're only thinking about the candles. You're just waiting for the candle to close. And it's much less stress, much less thinking, you know, so much less anxiety as well at the same time. I may have missed it, but could you share where your stop was for your overnight trade based on the 4-hour? Yeah, it was somewhere down over here. Essentially, it was down here, 136, 230. At first, it was down here, and then I kind of trailed it up under the 30-minute candle here.
I like GG.
Yeah, GG is moving back up now. We're about to close in 30 seconds.
Yeah, man.
This
I like it.
This has taken a while, man. A full 30-minute candle.
Yeah.
Someone's saying I think the best entry is above 137, 100. I think that's going to be a best entry if we break above there and do a retest. So I hope at this time people are securing their positions and putting stops at break even and letting the rest run.
Should be a nice pop.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Now, price is giving you another chance to secure some profits. Another chance to secure profits.
What's wrong, Kevin?
Nothing, man. I just want to see this next hour making that push.
Just pump up a little bit, and then that's it.
Pump it, pump it.
How many pip is your spread on GJ? Around 1.5, 1.4. So, you know, if you came to the streams and you took one trade here and you waited for this candle to close, you took a buy and you profited the buy, and give a like on the stream over here because it helps a lot of people. You know, so I don't think after this move here, anyone should be looking for another trade because it's a Monday. And if you had a winning trade, you secured profits, just be happy about it and call it a day. And stay away from full margins and stay away from over trading and all those ideas. Because this trade came like a blessing. Can you tell me where did you open the trade? I don't know how to answer that question. It's right here. I mean, how more precise can we make this? I just don't know. Can you use magic keys for an account on PC and iPhone and they work at the same time? Yes. If you have the same account connected on your PC and iPhone, they work at the same time. I had a 30 pip win this morning. Oh, beautiful. How much was your profit, Raja? That's irrelevant. But if you really want to know, it was $222 on this one over here. Oh, sorry, 210. What is the reason you opened the trade in this position? The reason I opened the trade in this position was because we created a high over here. And historically, we know that whenever price creates a high in an uptrend or in a downtrend, it's most likely to retest that high. And that was the idea why this trade was taken. Now, once we created a high, we waited for price to come down and create some sort of a support. So a support was formed right over here when it came to the charts. Candle closed bullish. Once this candle closed bullish, a buy was executed with stops below the previous candle and anticipated price to come up towards 137,100 to retest the high. So as price came up towards, 9, 10 pip profits, I secured positions and then I put my stops at break even right over here. And now if price comes up and hits 137,100, awesome, perfect. But if price comes back down and stops me out at break even, that's a smaller lot running at that time, then it's also okay. Because at the end of the day, we've secured profits. And that's why we trade. We secured profits, leave the rest running. If it continues on, beautiful. If it doesn't, then we come back tomorrow and try it again. And the only reason you will fail after this, if you took a winning trade and then you try to overtrade and try to take another trade, and man, then it's just going to become a wild Monday for you. So don't let Monday become wild. Let Monday be Money Monday. Money Monday, make some money on Monday and come back on Tuesday.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have to realize that if you're on the stream every day, there's going to be opportunities potentially every day, but if you're not comfortable with the opportunity, I think you can wait till the next day. I mean, I haven't really looked at anything yet. I just started going through the charts last night and today. I don't really see anything of particular interest for me, so I'll just sit back and wait for a bit. The last 2 weeks have been relatively difficult in terms of the market, so we're scraping through and getting what we can, but Monday is motivation Monday. Wait for the money to come, and then it comes. And if it comes early, you got nothing to do the following week or for the rest of the week. If it doesn't, sit back and wait. Yeah, so if you're looking at GJ right now, what you can do is you can probably box this area out. So this is going to be your range. So if you're new to the stream or you want a refresher, this is the range that we're in right now, because you can see that you have these candles here, but more importantly, we're stopping at those points and pretty much over here. So what you have to do is you have to identify that, and what you'll say is, if we do break out to the upside, then my stop loss will have to be below this range here until we have a support formed at this area over here at the top part. However, if we do that was interesting. Zoom just crashed. So if we do break down over here, now you're breaking out of this.
Holy. Holy.
What I'd say is,
Let's go.
you need a rejection over here to start that drop here at that point.
Move.
So you're in this massive range, and you saw exactly what just happened. It pulled
Okay.
back.
Wow.
Yeah, kinda. I
That was
like that.
insane.
I like that. That's what I wanted. But I want to see this rejection coming outside from 137.10 now. Shh, move. Yeah. I just get it, and I'm gonna use that. It's gonna be a crazy trade, because I'm gonna use a stop loss at 136.900. But I wanna see this 5-minute candle closing bullish. So basically, I don't wanna see this 5-minute candle coming back down to 136.900. It's a crazy trade, but the way the price moved, I don't know if any news came out, but it's basically they're cleaning the board. Basically, anybody who was in earlier buys is now just scared.
Powell is speaking, right?
No, should be. Well, yeah, Paul, but you know, sometimes it's basically not much for GBP. Yeah, that's the retest I wanted to the 900 area, basically. Wow, Brexit news just came out. Okay. Okay. That was crazy.
I can't delete any of that, so I'll wait for Raja to come back to clear the screen. It's so weird, because Zoom kicked me out and then it pushed me back in, and then we're still stuck in that range. So essentially, like I said earlier, you have to break above this area here, or we have to break cleanly below this area here for a trade to be valid at this point.
Yeah.
You're stuck inside this whole range over here. It's going to be very difficult to trade until we break out of that. So
Yeah.
keep it in mind.
Yeah. Raj is coming.
Yeah, I can't erase anything on my screen, Raja. You have to clear that.
Oh wow, what happened over here? Holy.
Crazy stuff, man.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks like gold just broke out of the 912 range that it was in, or the 1912 range.
Looks like Ted pressed the wrong button today.
Yeah. Yeah. Not worried. It's Monday. I'll let the market do what it's doing, but it looks like Powell just started chatting, so he's pushing gold up.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some Brexit news that came out.
Yeah, Brexit just came out as well. That was the whipsaw that we saw. And yeah, so we're having a good time.
Oh wow. Will not continue Brexit talks after year end. Slack.
Yeah.
So they're looking to get to a decision before 2021. Crazy.
The thing is, all the time when the EU has done negotiations in the past with every country, it always goes to the last hour, right to the end. So it's still positive because they're still talking. So until otherwise, it's still positive news. I think, as long as they're not walking away now, this is to be expected. Right until the last hour is the way the EU always negotiates. And the thing is that the EU, mainly Germany and France, really are the ones that are going to be the key negotiators. And especially Germany doesn't want a no-deal scenario. It would be devastating for them as well. So I think this is just sort of noise in the system at the moment.
Hearing that, and also looking to see what's happening now, like currently in the world, it seems like 2021 is going to be another version of 2020. 2021 is going to be 2020.2. But
I think you're right. I mean, we're getting it seems like the world is going through one of those corporate restructures where it's going to take a couple of years for us to hire new vice presidents. The new CEO is taking over, and we're just going through a restructuring right now in the world.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. Just looking at technically on GJ here, it looks like we have a support now, obviously, 136.900 and a resistance at 137 at this point now. So right now it's just in a range. Now this is a no trade range. I came back, saw this candle like this, I'm like, yeah, okay, we're just ranging now at this point. Looks like gold is on its way to 1920 here. Looking left, there's absolutely nothing. Clean candles going all the way up to 1920. Gold keep galloping. 1917.
Yeah, it looks like you got a good move up there all the way to 1920. You're right.
Yeah, there's clean traffic here to the left. Clean candles. This was when Trump came back, right? Was it? This was after a good CPI we had. 13th October. Oh yeah, that's right. Can you please look at GBP-CHF chart? Are there any possible trades I can take there? See, it's not a market, you don't come to a Sunday market to ask, hey, you have any potatoes today? Do you have any tomatoes today? It's not like you can come on and say, hey, are there any trades today? Let's check here anyway. Let's take a look at GBP-CHF. GBP-CHF. So 4 hours breaking the low over here. It's coming back down. We had a resistance formed at this point. Let's take a look on the small time frames. This 1 hour candle is still open, so we gotta wait for it to close. Seems like there's a minor support there. Let's take a look on the 30 minute. 30 minute is just pure, I don't know, very unattractive time frame at this point. Extremely unattractive time point. So you'll have to wait 12 minutes for this 30 minute candle to close. Possibly we can come down, but it's also very risky. I think below here would be better because you have clean moves coming down. So yeah, nothing. What's this? Looking for feedback. This trade came up, but didn't necessarily make it a good option. Would this have been something you would have taken? Let's take a look here. This is a GJ. Created a high in Asian session. Support created during Asian session right here. bullish close, expecting retest, second high, partial TP. Yeah, it's pretty good. I think you should have executed on this trade. But even though you planned out this trade, now you took it on paper and it worked. So if this trade worked on paper at this point, I think slowly you can start to build that confidence in taking this trade. I kind of had the same trade, but I waited for volume to come in at pre-London. Oh wow, that spike did come towards 1918. 18, 19, 19. Do brokers sometimes reimburse people if they have big slippage? No. I mean, if you were in the wrong trade and price moved up and you slipped, then obviously they will not refund you. Because I just got a message from someone else too, and they were in gold sell and they got slipped when this candle moved up. So maybe the same thing happened, I don't know.
Slip means the candle goes beyond your stop loss?
Yeah. Yes.
Is there any chance gold will hit 1922 today, Ted? Do you see it coming?
Yeah, if we get this breakout, 1917 is a pretty hard resistance or support.
Mhm.
So you got to really break through that. Once we create a support around 1917, I think you might have that push all the way back up to, I would say 1920, and then you're hitting like a big range at that area. You're still you're hitting a point here too at 1917. When you look to the left on the hourly, there's you're hitting a major resistance level here, so it's just something to be mindful of. And people were talking about slippage. I don't think people understand how slippage works. The market is an auction market, so if you want to record this or replay it back at this time frame, people that are claiming about slippage, you have to understand how the market works. It's an auction market, so you're getting executed at the next best price. When you put a stop loss in, a stop loss is a operation to be executed at the best available price, not at the price that you've placed your stop. So what it is, in an example of high volatility, and you place a stop at $3, and price is moving from say $10 all the way down to $3, and it's moving rapidly, all those price movements are creating momentum. It's almost like a snowball going down a ski hill. And as it creates momentum, you have less friction in terms of the price being able to slow down. So what happens is your stop loss is almost like, I would say, a good example, like almost like one of those the police use to slow down cars. They throw out those teeth, those metal teeth. That's what your stop loss is during a high volatility or high impact news event or price movement. You're putting out those whatever they're called to throw to slow the car down, to pop tires, right? So you throw out those metal spikes. That's what your stop loss is. So when the car is moving slow, the metal spikes stop the car right away, right? Because price is moving at a normal volume. But when price is moving in a heavy volume, those spikes slow the car down based on the speed in which the car is moving. So your car will run over those speed spikes, but it'll still keep moving. So that's essentially what happens with a stop loss. Is on your terminal, you put a stop loss for $3. It acts as a spike to slow price down, and execute at that point. But if price is moving rapidly, your stop loss is now a market order and it's being executed at the next available price. So that next available price, based on a line of orders, you could be fifth in line for your price. So you might get it now at $1.50. So that's where slippage comes from. So you have to understand that if everybody puts, there's like thousands of stops or thousands of price points that people are trying to use. And a lot of times there could be hundreds that are at the same price point. They get filled in order in which they come through or which they're executed, but it's also as price starts to move through, that's where you get your stop loss hit next. So a lot of times if you ask your broker to show you the tick data, you'll see a second later prices moved like 10 or 15 pips and your stop loss was executed a second later, but that second moved the market, you know, a lot more than what your stop was going to be at. So that's where you normally get a slippage. The other thing is too, when you're working on a retail level, you have multiple liquidity providers that are providing, I would say, not the greatest flow because they have to account for all different strategies. So that's where you're not getting price quotes or you're not getting those hard stops that you're looking for. If you want hard stops, then what you're doing is you're going to be increasing your spread costs, you're increasing your commission costs, and you're not going to get those tighter spreads because what you're doing now is you're working with just one counterparty, and that one counterparty will always guarantee your price, whether it's a stop loss price or a take profit price. It'll never be slipped, but you're paying for that because you're paying for more of a quality flow. So usually the tighter your spreads are, the crappier the flow because the liquidity provider is just providing you any type of liquidity, so anyone will take those orders. But you know, when price is moving at a rapid rate, you're not always going to get the stop loss that you're looking for because of the fact that price is moving so fast at that point. But I mean, if you do speak with your brokerage, depending on who they are, they'll review the case and, you know, they'll provide you all the tick data. And normally what they can do is they can negotiate with the liquidity provider to potentially refund the trade. But a lot of times if there's no actual execution errors or, you know, you can see that price clearly moved at those rates, then you're not going to get a refund at that point.
What kind of account you're using, what's better with the commission or one without. That basically depends on you. Like me personally, I use a ECN account, so I pay commissions, but the spreads are tighter. With standard account, you have a higher spreads but no commissions. But at the end of the day, I think even with ECN, you're saving maybe like 1 to 2 pips. Nothing big. What is so the person who was speaking, this is their Instagram handle here. This is the person that was speaking over here. Man, Ted, no one knows you, man. You gotta get more famous.
No, I don't want people knowing me.
Yeah, so that's his Instagram there. Uncle was dead, Uncle. Oh, you're reaching 50,000 here soon.
Soon I'm gonna be 50,000.
Beautiful.
Let's see if I can do a giveaway at 50,000 followers.
I think with slippages, if a broker gets that price from the market, they kind of negotiate with you on the loss. But if they don't get that price from the market, then they're like, well, you know, it is what it is.
Well, yeah, it's very tough. I mean, a lot of people don't understand how the market works to begin with. So they automatically assume that because they got slipped in an order, that now, you know, they're entitled to a refund or they're entitled to their credit back. And it's like, you're not. This is a function of the market. This is a function of the fact that you're using outdated software, outdated terminals. I mean, people, they try and trade on their phones, and now MetaQuotes is freezing a lot of times, so you're not executing at the right price. So you have to be very cautious in the terminal that you're using, and you have to be aware of its functionality. It doesn't mean that you have to jump to another terminal and say, well, MetaQuote software, I'm never using it again. But if you know that it freezes on the mobile app, don't try and take trades on the mobile app. Like, don't do things like that. I've always said, and I'll repeat it again, like I've said 1,000 times, if someone can make a software comparable to MetaQuotes, but executes a lot better, like take the MetaQuotes idea and build it and make it better, you'll become an instant millionaire, because people would rather use software that works and that gets a good feed from your broker, rather than software that pauses or delays, because they don't really care too much about that particular line of software anymore. Like, people are using MT4. You have to realize MetaQuotes is no longer supporting that software. So once it starts breaking, or as MetaQuotes 5 or MT5 starts updating, you're going to find that MT4 is going to get worse and worse. So that's why a lot of people are switching over to MT5, because MT4 is no longer being supported. It doesn't mean it doesn't work properly. It just means as time goes on, it's like having an iPhone 6. Eventually, you're not going to have anybody that's going to help you fix it. You're just going to have to upgrade eventually at that point. So just keep that in mind. And yeah, you can have slippage also on the other side as well. When you're in profits, it could slip. That happens too.
Yeah, that happened to me on gold 2 years ago.
Yep, it'll slip through, and that's it. And cTrader, cTrader is actually a very good platform. It's still relatively newer, that people... that people aren't using it as much, but once there's more requests, then more brokers will be using it.
I used it once. It felt like a rocket ship. That was the biggest difference. Like, there's some things more you could do in this than you could in MetaTrader. I think cTrader mostly resembles kind of like TradingView, like the things you can do with the charts and stuff like that. You can expand them, contract them. Any reason that MT5 doesn't have a built-in partial TP? Well, you have scripts for that, right? You have scripts for that. I currently use FXCM as broker, however, not satisfied at all. Can you recommend a broker platform that will allow me to combine with MT4 and trade gold indices? I'm based in America. You really don't have many options if you live in America. The only options... I feel bad for Americans because you don't have... I don't know, it gets pretty tough. I think Canada is also moving into that realm now, where they will heavily start regulating brokerages operating in Canada. Like, your leverage is low, you can't hedge, you can't... I mean, some brokers have first in, first out trades that you can only trade... You can only close the trade which you opened first, not in the last. So those kind of issues. But then you have options like offshore brokerages. A really good offshore brokerage is, like you have things like Trader's Domain. I know there are new ones popping up too. There's Hugo's Way. I use Hugo's Way for a little bit. IC markets are also good, but you can't use them in America. What is cTrader? What's the difference between A and B trader? We're just going to ignore that question over there. I'm not sure if that's a trolling question, but if that's a noob question, we're just going to ignore it anyway. Central banks issued digital currency would be a complement, not the replacement of physical cash. I think that's where we're going to move into now slowly. We're going to move into having digital currency more and more, and slowly cash will be eliminated. But the problem is, like, a lot of countries, they rely on cash. Like, Pakistan, there's this cash. Like, you have cash, you're everything. So it's going to take, I think it's going to take a couple of decades for the entire world to switch to digital currency. Man, if that happens, there are such big political, political foundation, all those things are going to be changed, because there are countries that are only built on corruption, corruption, black money, and all those things are going to have to be changed, because once you deposit cash in the bank, you'll have to prove where it came from, so it's going to take a long, long time until the whole world comes into cash, and gets rid of cash.
Yeah, you also have to realize too, there's a lot of countries that still don't have access to the internet or digital, like cell phones and stuff like that, right? So it's still hard to convert to everybody to that. But you're right, once we go digital in terms of currency and things like that, the corruption will, it should slow down. There's no doubt that people will be able to figure out a way to sort of bypass things. But it seems like it's going to be the ultimate way to track where funds are going. And truthfully, that kills, and I don't know how they're going to do it, but that kills the fractional banking system, because now, one digital currency unit can't be loaned out. It's a digital currency unit because it's all on the blockchain, and the blockchain is a ledger. You can't create more digital currency. It's there, so to speak. Obviously people mine it and whatnot, but you can't create more Bitcoin. You can't say, okay, well, here's more Bitcoin being thrown into the mix. There's only so much Bitcoin available. So it'll be very interesting how that works.
I was thinking with the same, if governments did it, they probably would create a digital currency but not have us access to the ledger.
Yeah, you could probably do that, but then that sort of defeats the whole purpose of the digital currency, I think, at that point, because I think we're looking for full transparency. And it would be interesting, because I don't think any population would want that to happen, because then we're doing the exact same thing we did with fiat, and I don't think people want to see that happen again. So it'll be interesting to see, though.
What happened with fiat?
Well, fiat, we created fractional banking, right? So essentially, $1 that was deposited into a bank, the governments and banking facilities created $10, and they started lending that out, right? It's the reason why if you go to a bank and you say, I want all my money, technically they don't have to give it to you right away. They have up to 24 hours to give it to you, because they need to make sure that they have adequate, or that they're able to transfer the money. But right now, all banks, if people were to decide to take out all their money at one time, it would collapse the banking system, because we don't have the money available that we've given out.
So for every dollar, basically they had $10 in stock. That if we're gonna give, in stock means in a reserve.
Yeah.
Oh man, wow.
Yeah, because what happened was we went away from the gold standard. So originally, currency was built on the gold standard, and the gold standard stated that if I have a bar of gold and the bar of gold is worth $10, then I have $10 available to loan out with that bar of gold. I can't loan any more than what I have. And then as soon as they dropped that and went into fractional banking allowed you to say, well, you have a bar of gold, maybe you can lend out $25 now. And then that killed the gold reserve, or the gold standard, and now this is why we're in this mess. And now the feds and whoever, they just keep printing money, and they're like, well, we're in debt, but we can pay some of it back, as long as we make our minimum credit card payments, we can still function as a country or as a society. But we're slowly learning that that's not the case anymore, because we've printed way too much money, and there's no way for us to get out of these debts. And I really think that's the reason why a lot of these countries have gone, sort of ham in the way that they've printed money, because I think, like I said earlier on one of my Instagram stories, that all the world leaders know what's going on or what's going to happen next year, and they were told by the International Monetary Fund, which is the IMF, to be like, hey, you know what, we can't support the way the world economy is going with the amount of money that's been printed. So guys, just print whatever you want, because we're just going to abolish this whole currency system and come up with something new. So all this stuff will be worthless anyways, and then we'll basically bankrupt every country digitally, like on paper, to say every country's bankrupt, and then what we'll do is we'll save everybody and create a new currency where we can start fresh, because I guarantee you nobody can keep track of the debts and how they're going to repay these debts. For anybody that has their own personal finances, which is probably 99% of us, you need to know how you're going to pay your debts off. Like, you can't just walk around being like, I'm $400,000 in debt and like I'm panhandling on the street. Like, there's a repayment plan. The governments have done the total opposite. They've printed so much money, they can't pay it back. It's impossible. You can't pay back trillions of dollars in the next, say, 3 or 4 years. That's going to take hundreds of years. So I think at this point, somebody's just said, hey, this is really screwed up. We just have to start fresh. And everyone said, hey, if we all start fresh at the same time, it can't hurt us all, right? And I really think that's what's going to happen.
There was one thing I was reading, and it's the same thing that you said, that they just come out with something digital that will be universe for everybody. But then the money that people have, like, let's say I have, like, my only debt is my house, right? And I can afford to pay it back in a number of years. But then the money I would have, they'll say, okay, like, you know what, this is what you have, and this is what you will get in return of this new system we have created. But someone who has no way to pay off their debts, then you'll have to start fresh.
Yeah, I really think that there's a big problem, and I think what's going to happen is all these world countries, these world leaders are just going to sweep the debt underneath this giant rug and throw the rug out the door. It sounds preposterous and it sounds insane, but you have to think logically. Like, you just type in world debt and you look at the country's debts. Every country has trillions of dollars in debt. Like, it's never getting paid. Like, think about, we're running on a deficit. We've been running on a deficit for like hundreds of years now. Like, there's no way that any of this crap can get paid. And now they're coming up and we're issuing more debt. Somebody's basically said, guys, we can't do this anymore. This makes no sense. And I think that's what's happening. Like, look at the debt. Like, what's that, 27 trillion?
It's increasing.
Yeah. Like, every country's $1 trillion in debt. Like, Canada's like 2 trillion, Brazil's 2 trillion, Italy's 3 trillion. Like, all these countries are trillions of dollars in debt, and there's no way of paying it back.
Yeah, man.
Like, because I mean, think about it, right? We would have to go do business with another planet. Like, you would have to find another planet that has dollars that needs the world to work for them. Right? Because when you have debt, what do? You have to go find another job. So now all these countries are working with each other, and all these other countries are all in debt anyways. Like, we're all in debt together. We have to find a new job. Like, the entire world has to find a new job to pay off this debt. Like, where can you pay it off from? You start a war with another country, that country goes more in debt, your country gains money because you're printing, you're selling war ideas and war machines and things like that. So you're building your economy, but another country dies at that point.
But man, the crazy thing is, like, this debt is created on something that didn't exist.
That's right. That's what I mean. It's ridiculous. Like, they created debts that didn't need to exist. Like, if you don't, it's sort of like, if you don't have money, we don't have money for things, but the governments refuse to tell their people that they can't afford something because that'll cause a riot. So what do they do? To print more money? I watch it all the time on TV. Oh, we have $10 million available for transit. And I'm sitting there going, where is this money coming from? $10 million. We just spent $500 million on bailing everybody out because of this virus. Like, where'd the other $10 million come from now? Like,
I think Lagarde was saying last week they were looking at a crypto euro.
Yeah.
And so they're looking into it. And I know the Royal Mint here in the UK 2 years ago was looking at it as well. So they had the initial blueprint 2 years ago as well.
So whoever lives in BC, your share of debt is 14,000 to your province's debt. Gotta pay up right now. Start paying back. But man, yeah, you're right. I mean, there's no way of paying this back, and yeah, it's just nuts. Like if you were the CEO of the world, right, and you saw this debt, you're running it right now. You can look at it and say that okay, there's in no foreseeable future we can get rid of this debt. So we need, like you're right, we need to look for another planet, not even a planet, another universe, to trade some planets and make some profit, and then get rid of this debt.
Yeah, like it's that's what it is. We have no one in the world that has no debt, so that we can work with, so we can pay off our debt. It's all we're doing. This reminds me exactly of how the underground poker community works. So when I've played poker in the underground clubs, people get what they call credit, or they get sheet. So sheet is basically, you know, exactly what it is. You write down the number that you owe somebody, right? And what they do is owners of the club pass their sheet around. So they'll say, okay, you know what, we owe Ted $5,000, but the club over on Fifth Street owes me $6,000. So Ted, go play at that club, use my credit that they owe me and play over there, and then whatever you make, they'll pay you out over there. So basically they just pass the debt around, because what they're hoping for is they think that, you know, poker is a zero-sum game and eventually you'll lose. So if I lose $5,000 there, then the club that I played at doesn't have to pay me that, and then it's just erased from the books. And you know, that's sort of what the clubs do. But then when you get a bunch of people on sheet, the debt becomes unmanageable, because all it takes is one person who didn't go on sheet to win a lot of money, and now you're off collecting for the time and trying to get that money back from people. So it's a very dangerous world when you start issuing credit, and that's what the world has done now. Is we've issued credit way too much, and we've extended ourselves, and now we're stuck. And now it's like, okay, well, what do? Let's issue digital currency. We can just start fresh.
They're basically looking to file for bankruptcy. That's what it is.
Yeah.
They've decided to file for bankruptcy and then start fresh, because there's no one to hold them accountable for. Well, us as a human race, because like.
Yeah, I mean, well, like, who do we pay the debt to? Like, there's really nobody we pay debt to. I mean, you know, the central bank is supposed to be collecting these debts, but that's like you being a debt collector and going up to somebody who's living on the street and saying, hey, we need our $1 trillion back. And they're like, well, where are you going to get it from? Like, think about it. The World Bank was the dumbest creditor in the world. They gave away all this money, and they're like, well, we can't get it back now. Like, nobody has any money at this point.
Yeah, but like the thing is, like, even if they come up with this debt reset program, how would you kind of like categorize people based on their financial status? Like right now, let's say like if you pay a lot of tax, this means that you're more valuable because you're paying a lot of tax and you got good credit and stuff. But once all that is wiped out and everyone is kind of like at this, I don't know, like just to see that, okay, where someone stands is going to be interesting, because I really want to like, you know, kind of see how that plays out.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, I don't know how they're going to do this. Like, I really, you know, I truthfully, and I mean, it sounds preposterous, but it's probably 90% accurate. All these world leaders get together and they sit there and they're like, we don't know what to do, but we can't tell anybody. No, think about it, because we're not dumb people. Like, you figure there's what, 2,600 people on this stream. There's 200 people, 300 people on the Zoom stream. We're not dumb people. Like, we're not the smartest, but we're not the dumbest. Like, we sort of have an idea of what's going on. And from a logical standpoint, there is no way to fix the debt that the world has. There's no way for us to pay it back. Like, if you ask a politician, how are we going to pay back this debt? Like, you just go to your local politician's office. Forget about even speaking to the country leader. Just go like down the street, you know, the guy that works in your area, you know, he manages your area, that, you know, he's the politician for that area, and just ask him, hey, you know, currently my country's like $3 trillion in debt. How are we paying this back? They don't have a clue. Well, you know, it's not really our issue, because, you know, the president and prime minister, they're working on monetary policies to fix it. Nobody has a clue on how to pay this back. No, they don't. And it's like, well, so what do? We just keep rolling the debt? I mean, doesn't that set a bad example for your people that live in your country when you tell them not to rack up credit card debt? Like, you force them to go into bankruptcy because, they can't pay their credit card debt, but the country that they live in can just keep issuing an unlimited credit and live comfortably, right? So it's just very interesting. Like when you think about it, you're like, man, there's no way to pay this debt back. And I just wish we knew when this whole collapse was going to happen, because then I would just empty my bank account and just buy a whole bunch of stuff and be like, oh well, they'll reset everything anyways, and I'll just own these things now.
Yeah, I think this could create like that old system of like, if you own houses, you're like the king of that area because you own so many houses. And like, if let's say someone has a bunch of houses and they've like refinanced, let's say 2 houses like two times, and they can't pay it back. So if those assets get taken away from them, then someone could say, okay, well, I'm going to buy these assets.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know, like whatever they've planned is going to be pretty wild. I'm actually very excited to see how this all plays out. Because so far, all of their plans have made me go like, what the hell? Like, really? This is what they're doing?
Well, it's because like what they're doing now is they're using the excuse of we're in unprecedented times, and we're during this like whole situation with the thing going around that's making people sick. But it's like at the end of the day too. I mean, that is not the thing that created the debt. Like,
yeah,
that came after the debt. Like, there was still debt before this. So using that as an excuse is poor. And people keep asking who we owe money to. We owe money to the World Bank. The World Bank, like, guys, this is why you have to stay in school, and this is why you have to take economics in school, because all these questions you ask, this is where you learn in university where we owe money to. It's the World Bank. The World Bank issues money to countries to make sure that they're able to function at a certain level. You borrow money from the World Bank. We owe the World Bank trillions.
How much money does the world owe China? Oh, wow. Who has these 3 trillion? Aliens.
There you go. Aliens.
Yeah, like no one has this amount of money.
No, it's becoming humorous now. I mean, think about it. Like, here you can do usdebtclock.org. You can watch it on your phone every day.
Yeah, every day you can see what number we're at right now. Wow, China's debt is 7 trillion. US is 27 trillion. Let's see. China's strategy is pretty good. Sell cheap and sell a lot.
Yeah.
We destroyed Saddam Hussein because he wanted to stop using the flat dollar to buy oil. Yeah, like some of those. I think some of those leaders in the Middle East, they figured it out what's happening, and they tried to change it. Because they stopped taking the US dollar, and they're like, okay, like, you know what? We're going to trade in gold now. We're no longer going to take US dollar anymore. Because I think they saw where this all was going, and this basically interfered with their plan. And this way we can go into conspiracy theories, but anything makes sense at this point. What's the time? We're almost 9 a.m. over here. We had one good move on GJ, this move up, and I think that was it. Gold had a breakout and it reversed all the way back to 1910. I think some people were looking at a retest at 1913 on gold as it broke up here, but there's no confirmation. Can we make these discussions a regular part of the schedule? I mean, if they pop up, they pop up. You know. The only thing I can see on GJ at this point is that if we break and close below this support, maybe in NYSE we can, like, you know, through NYSE we can continue moving down to correct this, like, you know, to fill this away and correct this move up. But other than that, I am mostly done for the day. Excuse me.
Yeah, we had a massive rejection on gold. But I mean, to be honest, the daily candle's still bullish. So you would really need to break below 1907 for any sort of significance at that point. This is one of those things where you see these massive moves to the downside with gold, like $6, $7, $10 moves, but the daily is still very strong bullish. So, you know, if this move is going to happen, then you have, you know, I would say once the daily candle, you know, on gold starts to dip, you could probably take trades tomorrow with that daily candle dropping. And then ultimately, I mean, we've talked about this for a while now, is anything below 1897, you can probably get to 1883. So, I mean, at this point, so this is where I'd be looking to fill. I'd be looking to fill this right here. So once this area here rejects all the way through, you can then fill this area here and then eventually fill down to this area over here. So you have 2 points to watch. Once we get down to this area here, and then also once we get down to this area here, because you have a zone right over here. This would be your first zone that you'd fill, and then this would be your second zone that you would fill. So, you know, you don't have to worry too much about being up at the top here. You know, like people are now looking at gold going, oh, if it drops, like, you know, we're going to miss this move over here. It's like, nah, you got to move right over here and you got to move right over here. So don't worry about that. Wait to see something that looks like this bearish movement, rather than play with these bullish candles that are going to bounce up and down, right? So keep that in mind. I mean, it's just easier to trade. Nobody says you can't take sells at this point over here if you're comfortable doing that. But man, if this candle flips bearish, you know that tomorrow's candle is going to drop and going to drive right through here. So like, why not wait for this confirmation of the move going down, similar to like a candle like this, right? Because if we saw gold, right, if we reject over here as an example, this is a rejection point because we have a bearish daily candle. And now you see this wick over here. First thing you're going to see is perfect. This wick comes up. And now what do we have? We have this whole area here to fill. This was our whole fill. And then once we filled that wick, you could see it dropped all the way down. And then you can say, perfect, now we're going to come to this area and then eventually down to this area. And then you can see it came down right to here. So you have those opportunities where the same idea can happen in this area here, where your next candle goes up, goes all the way down. And, you know, we fill this area here, and then we fill this area over here. So take your time with gold. You know, it will pay you dividends if you take your time and you don't try and rush gold. Otherwise, you're just going to blow your account because it'll whipsaw back up $6 or $7 and then go back down again $6 or $7. So wait for the right type of confirmations that suit your trading plan.
Right, let's take a look at this chart here, GU. Got 2 minutes left for this candle to close. This is, sells below 1.2990. So it's probably below the support. It's kind of like the same idea coming up on GBJPY over here too, as this candle's coming down, closing below the support. 1 hour candle's also closing below the support, so it makes sense for the next one to continue moving down. 4 hour also rejecting 137, so you know, there's a possibility for price to continue down to fill this wick here. Hate to break it to you, but the governments will take the blockchain technology and launch their own digital versions. They don't need crypto. No government in history has ever let private currency go. That is also true. That's also true. Government is like the mafia. They will never let something private come up and say, banks will say, okay, yeah, you know what? You look good. We're probably going to use you. Banks are going to say, nope, this is what we have and this is what you got to use. And that's the way how it is.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. It's 100%. You're looking at digital currency now. Think about it logically, right? So back in the day, we traded goats and chickens and stuff like that. And then, so what did people do? People are like, man, I'm just going to have a big chicken ranch and I'm going to have lots of chickens so I can be powerful. And then what did the government do? Oh, no, you need to use our currency, our way of trading now. So all the people that had lots of chickens and lots of goats, they suddenly were useless, right? Because it was only useful for the people that needed chickens and goats. Like there was no more power associated with those. So the same thing will happen with digital currency, right? So you have Bitcoin and Ripple and all those other coins, and people are like, yeah, we're going digital. So now I have lots of Bitcoin, so it's going to go to the moon. No, what the government's going to do is going to look and be like, that's a really great idea. Okay, we're going to make the government coin. So yeah, your Bitcoin is now worth, a quarter or 0.0001 of a government coin. And guess what? The only people that have the government coins are the government. So now you have to exchange all your crypto into government coins. And now those government coins are more valuable than your Bitcoin and your Ripple coin and stuff like that. That's what'll happen. They'll just say, hey, if you have lots of digital currency, give it back to us and we'll exchange it to you for government coin. And government coin is worth, 10 cents on, worth 10 cents on the dollar for your crypto coin.
Yes. It's going to be worth more. And as people start getting it, it's going to start to get worth less and less.
Yeah.
That makes sense, Ted. That makes perfect sense.
Yep.
That makes sense. To lower people do that, and once it gets common, then they'll say, okay, like, you know what, now it's worth more. Now you want to exchange your private crypto coins? Well, now our coin is worth more. And you can only use our coin everywhere you go.
That's right.
Yeah, so basically these private coins, there's a very high chance they will just become like reward points on your Visa or reward points. Like air mile reward points.
Yep, that's all they're gonna do. That's literally all they're gonna do at that point, and it's just unfortunate. I mean, but it'll create the same issues that we have currently right now with fiat that digital currency solved, which was there's only 10 coins available, so that's all we have. So there's a scarcity of that coin, so you're able to associate a value with it. So now what they're doing is they're like, well, we'll make the US coin, and the US coin will control how much we issue, and we can still control it. So they're basically doing the exact same thing that they did before, because no government wants to tell their people that they don't have the infrastructure to pay for things, because then they don't get in government anymore. Like if governments would stop lying to their people and say, hey, listen, we don't have any money, guys, like we're out of luck, things would be a whole lot better. But they don't want to do that because politicians make their livelihood out of staying in office, because that's where they get paid.
Yeah, I think we'll be able to trade it. I think that's going to be the end of the foreign currency market. The Forex is going to end at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Forex is going to end. Someone asked, when's Forex going to end? Well, soon. Just like that.
Yeah.
Make money while you can.
Forex will just stop.
Government reminds me of the some people that trying to live a lifestyle that they can't support.
Yeah, they can afford.
Yeah.
It's going to be a crazy time.
They're still printing money like it's nothing.
Well, I mean, look at it this way too. I mean, think logically. If the world goes into this massive reset, we got bigger problems than trading FX. That's what I always tell people. So like if you're worried about FX leaving, if it ever comes a time where the FX markets close, we have bigger problems than you trying to click buy or sell on MetaTrader. Like just think logically, like we have way bigger problems than that. So like if FX decides to leave tomorrow, I'm more concerned about the state of the world than I am my FX account. So it's just like, just think about it this way. Anytime you think that there's going to be a major shift in the world, like whether it's a market shift or, a societal shift, man, you're just a blip on the radar. So like, don't worry about the other things. Worry about yourself, because you know what? There's going to be riots in the street. There's going to be looting. It's going to be a massive problem, and you're going to have to basically make sure you have like your house protected at that point.
Yeah, this reminds me of, when they're printing money, this reminds me of the other day we bought a toaster, right? The toaster was like $20, and I was like, okay, you know what? If it breaks, we'll just go buy another one, and if we continue to buy a new toaster every time it breaks instead of getting like a fixed solution, getting like a nicer one, eventually there's going to be a time where we'll be in, we won't have any money to get a new toaster. Right, so I think that's what's happening here, but it's opposite, because they're just printing and printing and printing, and now, man, we've talked about this idea a lot of times, and this is where we are right now.
Yeah,
all this debt over here.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot bigger problems. So guys, if you're worried about that situation, don't really worry too much about it. Just think about it this way: we're all going to be in it together. And if it comes down to that, I mean, people can come over and hang out at my place. Like, I mean, I've got supplies and rations here for a bit, so I mean, we'll survive for at least a few days. But then afterwards, we'll have to go hunting.
Moving to Canada.
Yeah, come to Canada, come to Ted's house. We'll be okay. My Tesla's got the biohazard air filter on it, so we can still drive through the city. Nice. If they start throwing out like chemical warfare and stuff like that, so.
Yeah, one interesting thing I've noticed here is that France GDP is decreasing. Everything else is going up.
Yeah. It's just looking at take this thing off the screen. It's horrible. I just can't believe that the U.S. is trillions of dollars. The U.S. is $27 trillion in debt.
Wow. As we're speaking, the debt goes up by 100,000. And another 100,000.
Can we go bullish on U.S. debt? Like, can I trade this? Imagine if you could trade.
Is there an index for U.S. debt? Let's take a look at it.
Honestly.
China's fault.
No, I don't think there is one. I think it would be illegal to have a U.S. debt index.
Yeah, I just always look and I'm like, nobody's ever talked about how they're gonna pay back all this debt. Like, legitimately, nobody ever can talk about that.
Short GJ right now, question mark, looks nice. Yeah, I mean, this is a pretty good idea for GG to go bearish here. I mean, even if you enter right over here, your stop is like 8 pips, 7, 8 pips. You're targeting down at 136,700. The good thing about this trade is like you can manage risk in a beautiful way, because as this 15-minute candle closes, your stop is going to be somewhere over here, 136, 970. And as this candle closes bearish, you can probably bring it down to the high of the 15-minute candle. So this is going to be a beautiful, beautiful move if it does continue bearish here, because you can manage risk amazingly. You have a larger range here for price to come into. So Yeah, I mean, also if it's a Monday, you know, and if you've taken 1-2 trades this morning, just don't take this trade. Because if it comes a loss, then you're basically ruining your profits for the day. So I'm not taking this trade. But I'm going to head off here. Thank you, everyone, for showing up today, as usual, every morning. Appreciate it.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Raver.
Thank you, thank you. We'll see everyone tomorrow morning, same time, same channel. Yeah, same time, same channel. Yeah, I'm going to go to the gym. Everywhere else is closed.
Do that lineups. Do that lineup, right?
No. There's no lineups now. There's no lineups. No, there's no lineups now.
Oh, man, you have a great place in your basement to do your own gym.
Yeah, that's what we're doing. Me and my brother, we're buying equipment to put in the basement.
Yeah. There we go.
So we're going to start working out when they close everything here. Because that's what they want, man. They want everyone to be weak. They want everyone to lose strength, to be weak. Because think about it, man. Like Walmart, shopping centers, they're still open and they're dirtier than the gyms. You know, like more dirty people go to shopping stores than they go to the gym. 100%.
McDonald's.
Oh, yeah, McDonald's. And they're closing out gyms. Like, come on. People stay healthy at the gyms. Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
But, you know, whoever's making these decisions, they don't go to the gyms anyway. So what would they know? Right? Yeah, they don't know that stuff.
So true.
Yeah. Well, that's all right. We'll see everyone tomorrow morning. Take care. And please, man, please don't overtrade. Just call it a day.
Take care, guys.
Yeah. Take care.